Welcome. In this lecture, we're going to be setting up our space shooter project, and a lot of this is going to be review, but that's a good thing. I think that's one of the benefits of doing a course like this with multiple projects, is we get to have some review to remind you of how to do stuff again and kind of re-establish those practices in your head. So we're going to create a new project. We're going to come into Godot Course Projects, select current folder, call this Space Shooter. Do create, and edit. Okay. Once we've done that, we'll switch to 2D. We'll come to our project settings, and we're going to set our window 320 by 180. We'll set our test width to 1280 by 720. We'll set our stretch mode to 2D, and we will close. Now you can see we've set up our room. It's quite a bit smaller. We're going to add a custom node. Call this world. We're going to want to turn on snap. So let's turn it on. Let's come to view, and we're going to show the grid. You can see our grid is currently set at 10 by 10, I think. So if we do configure snap here, we can set this to 16 by 16. We can save our world scene here. We can run the game just to select a main scene. There we go. We'll set a background the way that we have before with a color rect. Layout, full rect. Set the color to black. Background. There we go. And we'll lock that so that we don't accidentally select it. Don't want to be able to select it. We'll save. We're going to need to import our resources. Once again, you'll have the resources in some sort of a downloads tab in this lecture. So we're going to come to import, click on the icon, switch to 2D pixel, say set as default for texture. Then we can come into our resources folder. So desktop here, Heart Space Shooter resources. Come in here. Why is the bullet lowercase? That should be uppercase. There we go. Select all of those. Come into the project that we just created, Space Shooter. Paste them all in here. Close. Come back to our scene. We should see these showing up in our scene now. You can see we've got some audio files now as well. And they should be, yep, they're not pixelated. Or they're not fuzzy, blurry. So we did import them correctly. Now we're going to be creating our player, and we'll do our player as a new scene. So let's create a new scene. New scene, we'll click this up here. Our player character is going to, we need to think about the behavior that we need this character to have. So since we're doing a space shooter, we need to be able to detect overlapping between our different scenes and objects in the game. So we want to be able to detect whether an enemy has overlapped our player or whether a bullet has overlapped an enemy. Those things are important for us to detect. And so what node would be good for detecting overlap? We just recently learned about that. It's going to be an area 2D. Area 2D node. So this is what our player is going to, our ship is going to be. name it ship. And we'll come up here, zoom in a bit. We need to attach a sprite to this. And we have our ship.png. Whoops, I accidentally. My mouse is still kind of being weird on me. Oops. Click on sprite. Drag this over to here. There we go. We're going to need a collision around this ship. And this is going to be slightly different from what we've done before. Because before we used a collision shape 2D. And we could use that again, but we won't get a very exact shape around our ship. And since this game we'll want our collisions to be a little bit more precise in this game. And so in order to create a more precise collision, we're actually going to use a collision polygon 2D. And we're going to turn off snap to grid, but turn on use pixel snap. And this will allow us to snap to the pixels so we can draw our collision shape around this ship. So when your collision polygon is selected, you'll get these new icons up here. And these are for adding new points to a polygon. So we can click the green one for adding new points. We'll click here, here, oops. Let's start over. I did right click to start over. We'll click here, 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 here. And I'm just outlining the white, essentially. Okay, so sometimes I've noticed that happens when you create the final point, they don't connect together, because we should be seeing a kind of like a purple red color here to represent the polygon, and we're not. So I'm going to click the remove here and remove. We're just going to have to start over, I think. So we'll just here's our polygon over here. Let's see. If we click add and just start over, I think we can just start over and do this again. And it will get rid of the old one. There we go. Okay. So yes, it should look like this. Sometimes it doesn't actually seem to connect them together. I'm not sure why that is. It might be something I'm doing wrong, but I've found that if I just redo it, we're good to go. We'll call this collision. We'll save this scene. Save the ship scene. We'll give the ship a script. And inside here, we're going to have, we'll have our process function again. Don't need these for now. Well, we're going to export our speed again. Export int var speed equals 100. So once again, this is going to be a little bit of review. If input.is action pressed UI up position.y minus equals speed times delta. So we want to be able to move up and we want to be able to move down inside of our world. Because we'll have our ship, if we come back to the world scene and click here, we'll have our ship scene. Let's drag it in here. Ship. Somewhere like here. Let's see. I want to put the ship right in the middle of this. So the height of our world is 180, right? So 90 would be the transform that we want to put the ship at to be in the exact middle. So there. So we want to be able to move up and down, right? So let's come back into our code for the ship scene and make it so we can move down if input.is action pressed UI down position.y plus equals speed times delta. Okay, perfect. Now if we run our game, our ship can move up and our ship can move down. This is exactly what we want. We're going to create an enemy scene now for our enemies. So let's create a new scene. Our enemy is also going to need to detect overlap. So we're going to do a very similar thing. Area 2D. Enemy. We'll attach a sprite node to our enemy. And drag over the enemy sprite. There we go. We'll also attach a collision polygon, just like the ship. And we'll probably make this smaller than the sprite, because generally when you're doing your collisions, you want the player to feel like it was more fair, right? And so, well, we'll see. I'm actually going to check to see in my reference what I did. Yeah, I think I want to do the same thing I did in my reference. So we'll click add here, and I'm just going to, let's see. Okay, use pixel snap is on and snap to grid is off. So we can easily click, we'll just do here to here. Oops, start over. Here, here, like this. There we go. This will be our enemy's collision shape. Just call this collision. Okay. And our enemy will also have a script. So let's give our enemy a script. Enemy.gd. And we'll also use the process function here. And we'll just say position.x minus equals. Let's export a speed for the enemies as well. Export int var speed equals 20. And we'll just do speed times delta. And the enemy is also going to have an armor variable. We can export it as well. Int var armor. Set it equal to 3. It's basically just their health, how many times they can be hit. And that's going to be it for our enemy for now. You can see if we come back to our world and we drag our enemy scene into the world, we can put a few of these in. Going to turn off smart snapping. There we go. And we've got the very basics for our game. And our setup is now ready for us to move on to the next lecture and cover some stuff that we haven't covered yet. So this was a little bit of a review, but hopefully it was helpful and you enjoyed it, and I will see you all in the next lecture.